Jeffrey Epstein was accused of engaging in sex acts with kids in 2005. Barely 3 years after, New York Magazine labeled him an international money man of mystery. Investigators quickly recognized that this incident was not your typical one. Today, let us dive into how Epstein repeatedly avoided being held accountable for his crimes for more than 10 years before finally being apprehended. Jeffrey Epstein was born on January 20, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York. Epstein was notably good in math and eventually joined the math team at the Lafayette High School, and later studied math and physics at both Cooper Union and NYU, but left shortly without a degree. Instead, Epstein started teaching calculus and physics at the Dalton School in the mid-1970s. The Dalton School is an expensive private school in New York City, and based on The Guardian, Epstein had a reputation for wearing fur coats and wore an open shirt that revealed his chest and gold chains. He even showed up to one of his students' high school parties. Jeffrey Epstein was extra attentive to the girls in the hallways and in this classroom, which was so unsettling that some pupils afterwards recalled it left a lasting impression. Due to a student feeling uncomfortable around him, he was reported to a school official and he was ultimately let go from the staff, also because he was giving poor performance in school. Since he worked at the prestigious school, it had its benefits. According to Vanity Fair, because of his students, he was able to have connections with powerful parents, like Ace Greenberg, a renowned trader and senior partner at Bear Stearns, a business that sought out persons much like Epstein. The pedigree was not necessary. They just wanted people who were PSD, poor, smart, and deeply desirous to get rich. By 1976, Epstein was hired as a junior assistant, and after 4 years he got promoted to senior partner. By then, Epstein started acquiring a hefty amount of personal clients as well. By 1981, he left Bear Stearns and opened his own wealth management firm called J. Epstein & Co. However, he ran his business quite differently from the others. He functioned as their financial architect, in charge of all investments, tax planning, and charitable activities, and would not accept any customer without at least $1 billion in assets. Epstein has a set fee, but never took commissions or percentages. However, he did demand power of attorney to control his client's entire fortune. Some estimated how Epstein earns. Even with 0.5% annual administration fee, he would still make $75 million from just one account that's worth $15 billion. Epstein was the only one who could manage or analyze the accounts. He also made every investment decision by himself. Epstein did, however, have 20 accountants to keep his numbers on track, 150 employees for administrative duties, and of course several female assistants to help him with his schedule. Besides his clients, Epstein had selected friends he wanted to keep close. They were often men with political power or in the field of sciences. With that, he was able to build his Santa Fe home because he had spent time with Nobel Prize-winning physicist Murray Gell Mann, who was also the co-chair of the science board at the Santa Fe Institute. Another Nobel Prize winner named Gerald Edelman, who oversaw the Neurosciences Institute, claimed that Epstein once gave them $20 million a year, perhaps in exchange for their visits and inquiries about science and philosophy. However, Epstein's focused political ties was what he was known for. Some people said he worked really hard to get close to Bill Clinton, and in 2002, former President Donald Trump said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life." Even with his colorful social life, Epstein was romantically involved with Ghislaine Maxwell, who lived a few blocks away from him. She was an heiress and a socialite, party girl, and was friends with people as high as British royalty. Many believe that despite their closeness, their relationship was mostly platonic, mostly because Epstein was committed to living the bachelor lifestyle. Journalist David Patrick Columbia said, "It's a mysterious relationship that they have. In one way, they are soulmates, yet they are hardly companions anymore. It's a nice conventional relationship where they serve each other's purposes. Anyone who was involved with Epstein may have been pulled into his alleged horrific offenses, which began to be revealed in March 2005. A girl, 14, came clean to her parents that she had experienced a dreadful event. The parents told the police their daughter had been molested by Jeffrey Epstein in his Palm Beach mansion. The girl was asked to go onto the precinct and be questioned. She said she was brought to the mansion by two girls who were also brought in by two other girls. Soon, detectives were able to identify dozens of female victims who were minors who had a similar story. First, they would arrive in a taxi to Epstein's Palm Beach waterfront estate. Then they were brought through the side door that led to the kitchen where they were offered snacks. After, they were sent to the master bedroom, where Epstein was waiting. Courtney Wild, one of Epstein's victims, was only 14 years old and was assaulted by him. She stated Jeffrey's strategy. Jeffrey preyed on girls who were in a bad way, girls who were basically homeless. He went after girls who he thought no one would listen to. And he was right. His victims, who ranged in age from 13 to 16, were lured to his house by other victims who had been offered large sums of money in exchange for bringing him new girls. He developed a gigantic, cult-like pyramid structure in order to be able to perpetrate systematic sexual assaults on minors at his Palm Beach residence, sometimes up to 3 times a day. Lawsuit after lawsuit was being filed by his victims. Epstein exercised his Fifth Amendment right to silence. Rather than admitting to wrongdoing 200 times or more during depositions, since Epstein was connected to powerful people, he was able to reduce the outcome of charges that were against him. By the time his 53-page federal indictment was served, with a long list of crimes committed against roughly 40 adolescent girls, in any typical situation, he would have ended up with a life sentence and federal prison. A meeting was held at the Marriott in West Palm Beach, where his legal team managed to make a plea deal with the U.S. Attorney, Alex Acosta, who was Miami's top prosecutor and chief federal law enforcement official in the district. Jay Lefkowitz was representing Epstein at the time, and he was a former colleague of Acosta's from a prestigious Washington, D.C. law firm. Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 counts of soliciting prostitution from a minor in accordance with the historically significant non-prosecution bargain reached by Acosta. Spencer Kuvan, who was representing one of the victims, said, "She was taken advantage of twice, first by Epstein and then by the criminal justice system that labeled a 14-year-old girl as a prostitute." With the deal made with Acosta, Epstein only served 13 months in a Florida county jail. Epstein was not in the state prison like many sex offenders, but rather a private section of the Palm Beach County Jail. Instead of being stuck in jail, Epstein was able to leave jail 6 days a week for 12 hours a day. His limousine would pick him up as early as 7:15 and would drop him back off in jail late 11 p.m. The Sheriff Department's official policy at the time was specifically stated that a sex offender was not eligible for work release. Due to Acosta's power, another unusual requirement was also permitted. As determined by a federal judge in 2019 that was blatantly against federal law, Acosta's deal with Epstein was not made to be known by the victims. The scope of Epstein's alleged offenses from 2001 to 2005, including the number of females he allegedly raped and any details on potential accomplices, were unknown during the time the case was sealed and remained in legal uncertainty. Even the victims didn't have access to that information. Due to Acosta's power, the FBI was not able to probe into the case. Due to the deal with Acosta, it ensured that all federal criminal accusations against Epstein and at least 4 collaborators would be dropped, with a very lenient provision offering immunity to any prosecutive co-conspirators as well. Many believe that the deal was made to also protect other influential men who joined Epstein committing his crimes with underage girls. Back in 2017, while he was nominated as Secretary of Labor under the Trump administration, Acosta was questioned about his choices in the Epstein's case, to which he said, "At the end of the day, based on evidence, professionals within a prosecutor's office decided that a plea that guarantees someone goes to jail, that guarantees he registers as a sex offender generally and guarantees other outcomes, is a good thing." By 2018, the secret that was supposed to be kept a secret got out. In her scathing investigative expose, Julie K. Brown claims were made in the Miami Herald once more of Epstein's crimes, and now they believe there were 80 girls between 2001 and 2006 who were molested or sexually abused. Epstein was once more put in the hot seat by the article, and he was powerless to escape. There was no way his crimes were confined to his house within Palm Beach. Investigators from New York City took up the case on July 6, 2019. Epstein was arrested. 2 days later, federal charges against Epstein were issued by the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. It was for the sexual trafficking of minors. Ghislaine Maxwell would be included in the claims, as she was the hiring agent of Epstein. After being charged in early July, Epstein still pleaded not guilty to all claims that he had sexually abused and exploited a large number of young females in his houses in Manhattan and Palm Beach in the early 2000s. June 2020 was set aside for his trial, but little did Epstein know there was a twist. For many years, Epstein was able to live freely despite the mountain of sexual abuse allegations. But in the end, not even his money was able to save him. He tried to make a deal to put up $100 million for bail and requested house arrest along with armed guards he would personally pay for. Sadly, the judge rejected his defense. Manhattan Federal Court Judge Richard Berman said of the case, "The government has established danger to others and to the community by clear and convincing evidence. I doubt that any bail package can overcome a danger to the community." Epstein was returned to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan after he was denied bail. Epstein was found dead in his cell at 6:30 a.m. on July 23, 2019. His death was ruled as suicide by the New York Medical Examiner. Reports said he had injuries on his neck, and some sources say it may have been self-inflicted. But others did not rule out assault by another inmate. Since then, the prison has drawn many criticisms for their inconsiderate handling of a man who needs the most intensive oversight, partly because of the effects it has on his victims. Nearly a year later, after Epstein had passed away on July 2, 2020, charges led to the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell, relating to the sexual exploitation of minors, and is presently incarcerated while awaiting trial. Still to this day, Epstein's victims are still waiting for any form of justice for those who were abused by him. The failure of the legal and criminal justice system to protect the victims along with the abuse still lingers among the women who were deeply traumatized. One of Epstein's victims, Jennifer Eros, issued a statement offering her perspective. "We have to live with the scars of his actions for the rest of our lives. While he will never face the consequences of the crimes he committed, the pain and trauma he caused so many people, Epstein is gone, but justice still needs to be served."